Hey everybody, welcome back to the War Boss Fitch channel. Today we are going back to Grimdark Future and we are going to be talking about the Alien Hives. Now our 3D creator of the week is going to be One Page Rules because they have the models that you are going to need to create this army. Well, most of them, but there are ways to use what they have to represent the different models on the board, the stuff that they put in after they finalize the list. So I'm going to talk a little bit on how to do that as well. So let's go ahead and get into the list, and I'm going to come down here to the special rules. Wow, look at this brick. And we're going to zoom in a little bit. Let's start off at the top. Breath attack. Once per this model's activation before attacking, roll 1 die. On a 2+, one enemy unit within 6 in line of sight takes 1 hit with blast 3 and AP 1. Corrosive. Whenever this model takes a wound in melee, the attacker takes 1 hit. Explode. This model automatically passes all morale tests. If this model is killed in melee, the attacking unit takes X number of hits. If this model survives melee after both sides have finished attacking, it is immediately killed, and the enemy unit takes X number of hits. Exploding spores. Enemies that roll to block hits from this weapon take 1 extra wound for each unmodified result of 1 that they roll. No retreat. Whenever a unit where most models have this rule fails a morale test, it counts as passed instead. Then roll as many dice as the number of wounds it would take to fully destroy it. And for each result of 1 to 3, the unit takes 1 wound, which can't be ignored. Pheromones. Once per this unit's activation before attacking, pick 1 other friendly unit within 12, which may move by up to 6. Poison Mist. Once per this unit's activation before attacking, roll 1 die. On a 4+, 2 enemy units within 6 take 1 hit with blast 6 and poison. Psi Barrier. When taking a wound, roll 1 die, and on a 6 it is ignored. If the wound was from a spell, then it is ignored on a 2 instead. Psychic Synapse. This model counts as having castered 1. All models with this rule in a unit share spell tokens, but lose all unspent tokens at the end of each round, and only one of them may cast spells each round. Resistance. When taking a wound, roll 1 die. On a 6, it is ignored, and if the wound was from a spell, then it is ignored on a 2. Shrouding Mist. Once per this unit's activation, pick 2 friendly units within 6, which get stealth next time they're shot at. Spawn. Once per game, when this model is activated, you may place a new unit of X fully within 6 inches of it. And Spell Warden. Once per this unit's activation, pick 1 friendly caster within 6, which get +1 to its next spell casting roll. Surprise attack. This model counts as having ambush and may be deployed up to 1 inch away from enemy units. Once deployed, roll X dice. For each 2+, 1 enemy unit within 3 takes 2 hits with AP 1. And Takedown. Once per game, when this model attacks in melee, you may pick 1 model in that unit as its target and make 1 attack at quality 2 with AP 1 and deadly 3, which is resolved as if it is a unit of 1. So for all the armies we've gone through so far, this is a giant brick of special rules. So if that doesn't tell you what's going on with this army, I don't know what else to tell you. I'm pretty sure this army has the absolute most number of special rules that we have in any other one-page rules army. There's so many, it's hard to go over one at a time, so this video is going to be a long one. So buckle in. So breath attack, we've seen that from Age of Fantasy. It gives a model a short-range shooting attack, or just a little bit more push in melee, usually is what I tend to use it with. Whenever something's charging into something that has breath attack, just hit it with breath attack first, let the rest of your attacks go through. Corrosive, kind of self-explanatory there. Kind of like acid blood from xenomorphs from Aliens. Explode. This is going to be on your spores, and if the model even gets into melee, they are going to explode. So if you plan on these being on the board and holding something, all the enemy has to do is just walk up and poke them and they explode. Exploding spores. This is just a rewording of the rule of Reap. No retreat has changed. It used to be you would pass a morale test, but you would take 1 wound. Now it is just a renaming of the undead spell. Pheromones, that's going to be a command ability, getting a little bit more movement out of your units. Poison Mist, I think this is only going to be on the Venom floater guys, but if you're fighting against chaff units, this is going to be real good for you. And we'll just go down to the bottom here. Takedown, this is going to be an interesting one. It's like a sniper melee attack, a sniper reliable melee attack. Resolved as if it's a unit of 1, that means you can pick out whichever model in the squad you want to absolutely kill. Surprise attack, this is going to be for our burrowers and stuff coming from the ground. I don't know if anything else can do it. We'll have a look around as we get into the army list. Spell Warden, yeah, this is going to be in your Psycho Grunts. These are going to help other casters that are closer to them. spawn after we've seen the zombie list in action on this channel. Yeah, we know what that is. Shrouding Mist giving stealth. That's a cool little defensive buff. Resistance and Psi Barrier. They're the same rule here, but they have two different names, so I'm assuming that just means that, you know, one's going to be psychic characters, the other one is going to be tough stuff that has no psychic ability. And then Psychic Synapse is going to be for our psychic floaters. Stuff that are psychics but are not characters. So yeah, that is a big old list. So big I have to zoom out to get all of it on the screen. So there you go. Let's go ahead and go down to spells. Psychic Blast 1. Target enemy within 9 takes 1 hit with AP 2 and Deadly 3. Terror 1. Target 2 enemy units within 18 get -1 to their next morale test roll. Animate Flora 2. Target 2 friendly units within 12 get flying next time they activate. Shriek 2. Target 2 enemy units within 9 take 4 hits each. Infuse Life. Target 2 friendly units within 18. They get regeneration next time they take wounds. And Overwhelm 3. Target enemy model within 12 takes 3 hits with AP 4. So let's look at the offensive powers first. Psychic Blast, Shriek, and Overwhelm. They're all pretty basic here. Target 1 enemy unit within 9 takes 1 hit with Deadly 3. 2 enemy units within 9 take 4, and target enemy unit within 12 takes 3 with AP 4. So, chaff unit killing, heavy unit killing, heavy infantry killing. So nothing too outrageous there. Now for the buffs. Well, let's start with this debuff here. Target 2 enemy units within 18 to get -1 to the next morale test roll. Melee in Grimdark Future can make or break an entire game. Just having the ability to look at 2 units and say, guess what, you get -1 to your next morale roll when we win combat. And with the way these units are built, you are going to win your combats. This here is just invaluable to getting models off of the board. Maybe not so good against those guys that are like quality 3 and fearless, but against models that are quality 4 without fearless, bumping that up to a 5, that's going to do some work for you. 2 friendly units here, they get flying next time they activate. That's really good as well, because there's going to be a lot of speed, and again, a whole lot of melee in this army. So having it come from a direction the enemy did not expect it to is great. And then Infuse Life, target 2 friendly units with 18 get regeneration. That is always good to have in your back pocket. And if you want to take those big bricks of like 20 model units, it's great to give them regeneration, because they're going to weather a whole lot more firepower than anyone thinks they should be able to. Alright, so we are going to zoom out to 1-0, and then let's jump in and take a look at the army list. So starting off the top, Hive Lord could be the best unit in the army. 360 points, quality 3, defensive 2, fear 2, fearless, hero toughness 12. 4 heavy razor claws with 3 attacks at AP 1 and 4 attacks with a stomp at AP 1. You can be given pheromones or Psi Barrier. You can replace any heavy razor claw with a razor whip, which gives him poison and reliable, which means it hits on a 2. Piercing Spike gives him 1 attack at AP 2 and deadly 3. For if he wants to go after some vehicles or stuff where you think you're going to get less hits through, but the hits do more damage. Smashing Club, 1 attack at AP 2 and blast of 3. This is going to be your chaff clearing weapon. Slashing Blade, 3 attacks, AP 1 and rending. This is going to be used to get rid of the regeneration on your enemies. And looking for some 6 to spike off to get AP 4. And then Serrated Blade, 3 attacks at AP 4. This is going to be your all-around, I-kill-everything weapon. You can take 2 of those Razor Claws and replace them with a Shredder Cannon, 18 inches, 4 shots with rending. Spitter Cannon, 24 inches, 2 shots, blast of 3. Barb Cannon, 36-inch range, 1 attack, blast 3 and AP 2. A Heavy Piercing Spike, 2 attacks, AP 2, deadly 3 and reliable. So this is going to be the vehicle hunting weapon because it has reliable and deadly 3. AP 2, it's mid-range AP. It puts most vehicles to a 4+ for their defense. So it's a 50-50 shot for them to block this weapon. Heavy Smashing Club, 2 attacks, AP 2, blast 3 and reliable. It's just going to be more chaff clearing than you got up here with the Smashing Club. The only difference is that this one has reliable. It's double the number of attacks, but has reliable. Heavy Slashing Blade, 6 attacks, AP 1, rending, and reliable. Again, we're looking up here at the Slashing Blade. It's 2 of these, just with reliable added to it. Heavy Ravager Cannon, 18 inches, 6 attacks at AP 2 for some heavier infantry killing. Heavy Serrated Blade, 6 attacks, AP4, reliable, so it's the same thing as the Serrated Blade, just has reliable. And an Acid Cannon, 36-inch, 1 attack, AP2, Deadly 6, and Lock On. This is going to be your big vehicle killing. And it's going to be for flyers too, because it ignores all negative modifiers. So you're always going to be hitting on the quality of 3. You can also upgrade it to get Regeneration, Caster 3, and you can give it wings for ambush and flying. So for this unit, for the Hive Lord, we have a guy here in our local meta who just loves his Hive Lords. So what I've seen him do is you go straight down here to Serrated Blades, 4 of those, so that gives you 12 attacks, AP4. You give him wings, and recovery and caster, that was up to you if you got the points to throw at it. If you feel like you're going to need it for the regeneration, or the caster 3, well, this gives you just a terror of a character. It's going to be toughness 12, 12 attacks, AP4, ambushing with its wings, flying so it ignores all terrain. This is going to be a workhorse of the army. 485 points for this loadout, and unless you put some very serious firepower into this thing with its defensive 2, it's really not going to care. The one thing I would like to see with the Hive Lords is up here with the special rules, if we could just put the unique tag up there, so in a 2,000 point game I'm not looking at 3 of these. Or we've even gone to the point where I've seen 5 of these on the board at once in the larger point games, and they are just ridiculous. So on to our next unit, the Snatcher Lord. 125 points, quality 3, defensive 4, fast, hero, caster 2, scout, strider, toughness 3. Goes with a heavy claw for 4 attacks, AP1 with rending. Has access to all the spells because it is a caster of 2. There's no upgrades for the unit, this thing just does what it does. If you dump him into a Snatcher squad, just give him those ablative wounds to run forward and shred everything with the rest of the Snatchers. And then giving them this spell right here to give them regeneration, that could be a real thing of beauty on the board. Moving on to our next is the Prime Warrior. 105 points. Quality 4, defensive 4, fearless, hero, and toughness 6. Comes with 2 heavy razor claws for 4 attacks, AP1. You can give them the pheromones and the side barrier skill. It's going to have the same type of weapons that the Hive Lord did, just a smaller version of them. Shredder gun, spitter gun, twin spine gun, heavy ravager gun, barb gun, and acid launcher. You can give them regeneration or wings for flying and ambush. Then you can replace the heavy razor claws with a slashing blade, razor whip, or serrated blade. And you can replace 1 heavy razor claw with a piercing spike or a smashing club. So again, we have another character here that isn't really going to integrate well into a squad. I mean, you could still put them into a squad with toughness 6, but it doesn't have any unit buffing abilities. And the way I've seen them played locally is just attach them to a squad just to be an additional body to push the melee ability there. Again, usually the way I see them is just serrated blades all the way, giving it 8 attacks, AP4. Then Veteran Warrior, 50 points. Fearless, hero, toughness 3, 2 razor claws, 2 attacks, AP1. Pheromone side barrier. It's the same as our last character. It's just half the number of attacks, half the points. Again, just to be an extra body in a warrior squad, because there is no all these upgrades here. There's no unit upgrade to go with it. So let's go ahead and jump to the core units. Assault Grunts, 115 points, quality 5, defensive 5, fast, and strider. 2 attacks with their heavy razor claws. You can take up to 2 of those razor claws in the squad and give them a piercing claw for 1 attack, AP1 and deadly 3, a smashing claw for 1 attack with blast 3, a slashing claw for 2 attacks, AP1 with rending, a serrated claw for 2 attacks, AP4. You can upgrade the entire unit to have furious or poison in melee, and you can upgrade them all with no retreat. This is going to be one of your mass squads. This one is the melee version of it. So usually what I see on the board is I see him kept cheap at 115 points. Pop on adrenaline for 130, and these are going to be used for taking objectives. And for some reason, if you want to get some extra mileage out of them for melee, instead of doing poison, go for the furious. So for 135 points, you got 20 attacks, exploding 6s with the furious ability, and with adrenaline, they're not going to be able to get taken off the board. Usually what I see is you get knocked down to 1 or 2 assault grunts, and then at that point they're just running around and standing on objectives, just being a total pain in the butt. Our next unit is the Shooter Grunts. 10 of them for 125 points, quality 5, defensive 5 with strider. They come with bio borers, which is a 12-inch range, 2 shots, and they have 1 attack with the razor claws. You can replace all the bio borers with bio spiners, 6-inch range, 2 attacks, AP1, and that saves you 15 points. Or bio ravagers for 18 inches and 2 shots for 25. You can upgrade up to 2 of them to take a flamer, a fuser, a plasma, a shredder, or a spiker. So the first one, blast 3 and reliable. Biofuser is your anti-vehicle one, AP4, deadly 3. Bioplasma is your heavy infantry killer, 1 shot at AP4. Bio shredder is just going to give you the ability to have rending to get rid of regeneration. And the bio spiker gives you the sniper ability. You can upgrade all of them, again, with the Furious or the Poison and Melee, and Adrenaline for no retreat. This is your mass unit, the shooting version. So what I usually see with these, and I don't have much experience playing with this army, but I have some experience playing against this army. So I'll give you what I've seen as an opponent that seems to work really well. This unit with its quality 5, no one ever really relies on them for the shooting, so give them the bio spiners to reduce their points to 110, the adrenaline for no retreats, and again, what they're going to do is just run around to take objectives from you. Take objectives from the enemy. And again, with a no retreat, they are going to be knocked down to 2, 3, or 4 left in the squad, and they're just going to be a pain in the butt that you have to dedicate entire squads to take out those last few shooter grunts. Our next unit is the Winged Grunts. 145 points, quality 5, defense 5, with ambush and flying. Bio borers for 12-inch range, 2 attacks. Razor claws for 1 attack. And then they have all the options that our shooter grunts did. The only difference is these guys can ambush and fly. So again, what I've seen as an opponent. Take this squad, give them the bio spiner, make them cheap, give them the adrenaline, take it back up to 145 points. Ambush this squad close to an objective. And that means that the enemy is going to have to dedicate units and activations to take them off of the board. If you ambush these towards the back end of the enemy's deployment zone, it can interrupt their entire battle plan, having to send a unit or 2 back to take these guys out. And again, with no retreat, they got to kill all of them, otherwise they're going to be a pain in the butt the whole game. Yeah, there's not much more to say on that. The winged grunts are just going to be there to throw a absolute giant monkey wrench into the enemy's battle plan. Next unit is Psycho Grunts, 65 points, quality 5, defensive 5, resistance, spell warden, and strider. 1 attack apiece with razor claws. You can give them furious, poison in melee, and no retreat. Again, what I've seen is these are just little pain in the butts. You can put them next to your psychic units to give them +1 to the next spellcasting roll, or they're just a smaller version of the assault grunts, just cheaper. And with 5 of them, you're going to be able to hide them in terrain, and you're going to be able to launch themselves out and just stand on objectives and tell the enemy, look, you have to deal with me, otherwise this objective is mine. That's about all I've seen done with this squad. Psycho Grunt, they do have the ability to boost a psychic unit, but every time I've seen these on the board, if they ever do boost a psyker, it's just because they're accidentally within 6 inches. Next, we're going to come into some fun stuff. Support Grunts. 3 of them for 125 points. Quality 5, defensive 5, relentless, and strider. They have 1 attack with razor claws and 3 bio cannons, 24-inch range, 1 attack, blast 3, rending, and indirect. You can give them furious and poison and melee, and no retreat. So this is a unit where all of these upgrades down here are going to be wasted points. These guys with their blast 3, rending, indirect, and relentless, stick these guys like in a building or somewhere where there's going to be cover between the enemy and them, and just start lobbing shots. You're only quality 5, but 125 points, 3 shots, blast 3, rending with indirect. It's a pretty good trade-off for 125 points. These guys are going to be the ones that are going to sit on your home objectives, which is really good if they have some cover to hide behind, like a wall or just something to be in the way, and just lob shots. Next unit is the Soul Snatchers. 165 points for 5 of them. Quality 3 and defensive 4. Fast, scout, strider. 2 attacks with AP1 and rending from their heavy claws, and you can give one model the Mind Snatcher, which gives them Caster 1. So the Caster 1 option, I mean, you're only going to get 1 token a turn. The only thing I can really see that being useful for is the Terror ability, but with only 1 token per turn, it's going to be a 50-50 shot to get that off. These guys are just a ton of rending attacks coming in really quickly because they have the fast, scout, and strider. They're going to be able to pretty much start the game at the midway point, and with fast, they're going to be able to get into the enemy's deployment zone on turn 1 if they start at the midway point. If you take these in your army, make sure these are going to be the first activation to go punch something in the mouth, or cut something in the mouth in this situation. Next we go to Hive Warriors, 3 of them for 135 points, quality 4, defensive 4, fearless and toughness 3. They come with 2 Razor Claws apiece for 4 attacks for each model. AP nothing. You can replace a Razor Claw for a Ravager Gun, Spitter Gun, or a Twin Spine Gun. Ravager Gun, 3 shots at 18. Spitter Gun, 1 shot, blast 3 at 24. And the Twin Spine Gun, 4 shots at AP 1 at 12 inches. If you want to get into a firefight and treat these guys kind of like they have heavy rifles, go for the Twin Spine Gun. That's going to give you 12 shots out of 3 guys. Spitter Gun, in case you're going against really cheap chaff stuff, you're going to be able to put out the equivalent of 9 wounds of hurt. And the Ravager Gun is kind of the same thing, except shorter range, and you have to roll those 9 shots individually. But you can take a Ravager Gun, and then you can upgrade that to a Shredder Gun for 2 shots with Rending at 18. Heavy Ravager Gun, 3 shots at AP2 at 18. A Barb Gun, 30 inches, 1 shot, blast 3 and AP2. Or an Acid Launcher, 30 inches, 1 shot, AP2, deadly 3, and lock on. So this is where we get into the more specialized weapons you can take with them. It's where you can get the higher AP on the weapons, but you can only take one of these per 3. You can give them all wings for ambush and flying. You can replace any Razor Claw with a Slashing Blade, Razor Whip, or Serrated Blade. And you can take 1 Razor Claw in the squad and give it a Piercing Strike or a Smashing Club. Now usually when I see these guys across the board, they have wings, and then they all take Serrated Blades. So it's going to be 12 attacks AP4 with ambush and flying. That gives you another sledgehammer, kind of like the Hive Lord. Just in smaller body, less defense, less quality, but for only 230 points instead of the 400, 500 points that the Hive Lord is packing. Next unit is the Hive Guardians. 3 of them for 160 points, quality 3, defensive 3, relentless and toughness 3. I don't know if I've said it yet, but relentless means that if you stand still and you shoot, anytime you roll a 6 with your guns, that means you get exploding 6s. So you just get an extra hit every time you roll a 6. They come with 6 Razor Claws, same thing as the Warriors with 2 attacks. Any model can replace 1 Razor Claw with a Heavy Ravager Gun, a Shock Harpoon, or a Skewer Cannon. Heavy Ravager Gun is kind of like that 1 per squad thing we saw with the Hive Warriors. These guys could just all take 1, 18 inches, 3 shots AP2. Shock Harpoon, 24 inches, 1 shot AP2 and deadly 3. Skewer Cannon, 30 inches, 2 shots AP4 and lock on. Except this starts to get really, really expensive at 65 points each. You can replace any of the Razor Claws with Slashing Blade, Razor Whip, and Serrated Blades. And you can replace 1 Razor Claw with a Piercing Spike or a Smashing Club. I don't usually see Hive Guardians on the board, but if you really wanted it, I would say just go all Serrated Blades, just to go cut, just to go cut somebody. Or if you want to be a shooter, the Heavy Ravager Gun, 18 inches, 3 shots at AP2. That makes the squad 265 points, 9 shots at AP2, hitting on a 3. That's nothing really to sneeze at, especially with Relentless. If you can get them on a spot to hold it and just start, going ham on somebody with shooting, you're going to get some exploding 6s on those. Next unit is the Hive Swarm. 3 of them for 55 points, quality 6, defensive 6, fearless strider, toughness 3, 3 attacks apiece with poison. You can give them spine shooters for a ranged attack and ambush. So being little squishy bodies, what I usually see with these is ambush, and then being used kind of like the winged grunts are, just to ambush behind the enemy lines, just being something that the enemy has to deal with. Otherwise, they're just going to move forward and contest or take objectives. Not really much more to say on them. They're cheap, they're squishy, they're a problem. Next unit is the Ravenous Beast, so I see these a lot. 145 points for 3 of them, quality 4, defensive 4, fast strider, toughness 3. Again, 6 Razor Claws, 2 attacks apiece. You can give them Rapid Strike for Scout or Tunnel Attack for ambush. These are all close combat. You can give them the Slashing Blade, Razor Whip, or the Serrated Blade. And you can replace 1 set of Razor Claws with the Piercing Strike or Smashing Club. This unit only having close combat abilities. What I usually see with these is either Scout or Ambush. It's kind of interchangeable depending on how you feel that day. And then all Serrated Blades, giving them 12 attacks out of 3 of them with AP4. They're only hitting on a quality 4, but with just that much beat stick in the unit, quality 4, you're going to get pretty far on that one. Usually whatever they hit is just going to die with that AP4. So it's just another sledgehammer unit going really fast. Next unit is the Synapse Floaters. 3 of them for 210 points. Quality 4, defensive 4, Psychic Synapse. That means that they get as many caster points as they have models. And they lose all the caster points at the end of the turn. Stealth and Toughness 3. They come with 3 Psi Blast, 18 inches, 1 attack with Blast of 3, and 3 Psi Shocks for 1 attack in close combat. The only upgrade they can get is Regeneration. So what I have seen, go ahead and put Regeneration on them. And then upgrade this to a unit of 6. It is pricey for 480 points. That gives you 6 Psychic tokens to play with every turn, and you have to spend them because they're just going to go away. Choose one model in the squad to be the caster, so all the powers focus on them. This is where you get to see Infuse Life getting thrown out there. With 6 tokens, it's almost guaranteed to go off. Or if you only put 3 into this, then you get 3 more left over. You could just give flying to 2 units, maybe the 2 that you hit with regeneration, and you could also just, scare the enemy if they're close enough, or shoot them if they're close enough with a Psychic Blast. This is a utility unit that is really, really good to have on the board if you beef them up to this 480 points. You could take off the regeneration to make it 420 points, but at that point, some stray shots, some indirect fire might take a few out, and then you start losing your psychic power ability. Our next unit is the Venom Floaters. 3 of them for 200 points, quality 4, defensive 4, stealth, and toughness 3. They come with 3 whip limbs, 4 attacks apiece with poison and reliable. You can upgrade it with Poison Mist or Shrouding Mist, and you can give it regeneration. Now this unit, definitely give it one of these two. I think it should have came stock with Poison Mist, and Shrouding Mist should have just been an upgrade to put on them. But giving 2 units stealth is pretty good here, but where it's only a 6-inch range, if you want to have some units camping on your home objectives, that's good to have. Just to park these guys next to them and say, hey, that unit and us were harder to hit with stealth. And if you want to be offensive Venom Floaters, stick with the Poison Mist. Having the ability to have 2 enemy units take blast 6s, that means that these guys are going to be putting out more offensive power than you think they should. Our next unit is Shadow Leapers. 3 of them for 190 points, quality 4, defensive 4, fast, ambush, stealth, strider, and toughness 3. 2 attacks apiece with the Razor Claws. You can replace the Razor Claws with the Slashing Blades, Razor Whips, Serrated Blades, and you can replace 1 Razor Claw with a Piercing Strike or a Smashing Club. This is going to be in the same avenue as the Ravenous Beasts, except it comes stock with Ambush instead of all the other stuff. Again, Serrated Blades, giving them 12 attacks at AP4. Let's check this out here. Ravenous Beasts, give them Ambush, and then all Serrated Blades. Yeah, so it's just an extra 25 points. Ravenous Beast comes at 225s, Shadow Leapers comes at 250. They have Stealth, which is the only difference really between the two of them. If you want to take a whole lot of AP4 combat stuff, you've hit your duplication cap on the Ravenous Beast, throw in some Shadow Leapers. And with the Shadow Leapers, they don't have models for these specifically, but they do have a Shadow Hunter unit, so what you could do in your slicer is just scale them down a little bit. I took some Shadow Leapers in the army I'm taking today, and that's exactly what I did. I scaled them down to where they could fit on a 40mm base. I think it was 65 or 70%, and it worked out pretty good. Oh yeah, and I forgot, the other unit that we went over that doesn't have models are the Psycho Grunts. So these, you could just take a Assault Grunt, paint them purple, that way they're psychic. Or what you could do is you take the Assault Grunts, shave off all the spikes on their head, make them smooth-headed, that way, less blockage to the psychic brain. I don't know. It's real easy to come up with different ways to differentiate stuff. So speaking of Shadow Hunter, that's our next unit. 185 points for 1 of them, quality 3, defensive 4, ambush, fast, fear 1, stealth, strider, and toughness 6. Comes with 2 heavy Razor Claws, 4 attacks, AP1, so it's going to be 8 attacks, AP1. You can replace those heavy Razor Claws with a Slashing Blade, Razor Whip, or Serrated Blade. You can give them a Piercing Strike or a Smashing Club. You can also give this unit Takedown or Mind Hunter, which gives it Caster. So this is a unit, I have seen them on the board, but not that many usually. What the enemies do is just they load them up with Serrated Blades, giving them 8 attacks at AP4. Popping up where you don't want them to be. You can put Takedown on there so that you can snipe out stuff inside of a squad, but really with 8 attacks hitting on a 3 at AP4, odds are you're just going to take the whole squad out anyways. And then Mine Hunter, I have not seen Mine Hunter on the board, but if you really want to go for a Psychic army, add this in there just to give that much more Psychic push on it. Our next unit is the very contentious Mortar Beast. This guy's rules have bounced around a lot, but currently it's 170 points, quality 4, defensive 3, fear 1, fearless, and toughness 6. Comes with a Spore Gun, 24-inch range, 1-shot, blast 6, indirect with exploding spores, stomp, 2 attacks AP1, and a heavy Razor Claw for 3 attacks AP1. And what you could do is you could rip off that Spore Gun and you could just give it spawning spores, which gives them 5 spores for 30 points. Which we'll talk about spores in a little bit, but because previously the gun used to create spores whenever it would miss, just the way the spawning rules work, where this only happens once per game, now I think the Spore Gun is going to be better, just to keep the Spore Gun on the unit, just to sit back and do some blasting. 6 hits indirect with the exploding spores, which is just, again, a different version of the rule Reap, where anytime the enemy rolls a 1, they take another additional wound from the gun. I think that's going to be the way to run this guy, because once you take that away, you're then left with a combat monster that just can occasionally drop spores out of his butt. Honestly, for all the other armies, he wouldn't be that bad of a choice with that, but in the Alien Hives army, there are a lot better choices. Let's go take a look at some more stuff. Flamer Beast, 195 points, quality 4, defensive 3, fear 1, fearless, and toughness 6. He can spit fire, 18 inches, 2 shots, AP1, blast 3, and reliable. Stomp for 2 attacks with AP1, and a heavy Razor Claw, 3 attacks AP1. The unit has no upgrades. So this monster's whole shtick is the flame spitting, which at 18-inch range, blast 3, and reliable is pretty good if you're fighting against hordes and stuff. But if you're fighting against something like Battle Brothers, they're just going to take this to the face and not really care that much. So it just turns into a close combat monster with the flamethrower attached to it. Which again, there are better options in this army. Next we go to Spores. 5 of them for 75 points, quality 6, defensive 6, explode 2, and they have 1 attack apiece in close combat with no upgrades. This unit, what they're going to do, float forward and blow up on people. They just want to give hugs out. With the way the explode rule works, this is going to be an automatic 10 hits on the enemy. So if these guys charge, it'll be a possibility of 15 hits, but with quality 6, don't expect them to hit nearly at all. These are just an area denial units that the enemy knows that they're going to take hits if they even come forward and touch them. Then we come to our next unit that wants a hug, Massive Spore. 3 of them for 145 points, quality 6, defensive 6, explode 6, and toughness 3. 3 tendrils with 3 attacks apiece. So if you just put up the Massive Spore with the regular spores, 75 points for 10 explosions, or 145 points for 18 explosions, they're pretty much interchangeable. Massive Spores may be a little bit better because they have a smaller footprint, but if you're going for area denial, spores are going to be better. Combine that unit, you're at 150 versus 145. 10 spores are going to be able to cover more land than massive spores are. So this is one of those 6 one way, half dozen the other, whichever way you want to do it. Now we come to even more fun stuff, the monsters. We're going to start off with the Carnivo Rex, quality 4, defensive 2, fear 2, fearless, and toughness 12. 3 heavy Razor Claws for 3 attacks AP1 and 4 attacks AP1 with its stomp. You can give it regeneration. Just like all the smaller monsters, you can replace the Razor Claws with Piercing Claws, Slashing Claws, Smashing Claws, or Serrated Claws. And you can also give it Whip Limbs. I'll just talk about this section here. Piercing Claws, AP2 with Deadly 3. This is going to be for anti-vehicle work. Smashing Claws, 3 attacks AP1 or Bending. This gets rid of regeneration. Smashing Claws, 1 attack AP2 and Blast of 3. This kills chaff. Serrated Claws, 3 attacks AP4. This kills everything. Whip Limbs gives poison and reliable, so it's going to hit on a 2 and ignore regeneration and make your enemy reroll 6s. So again, usually the way this works, all Serrated Claws, which will give him 9 attacks AP4, hitting on a 2. So this compared to our regular squads, he does have less attacks than say like a Ravager squad. But with defensive 2, he's going to stick around a little bit longer. Let's go ahead and drop those off. You can replace all 3 of the heavy Razor Claws, and this is where you can give him a gun. Give him a heavy Shredder Cannon, 18 inches, 8 attacks with Rending. Again, just to get rid of regeneration and to fish for 6s. Heavy Spitter Cannon, 24 inches, 4 shots with Blast of 3. which means it's going to be up to 12 hits with all that blast, but at quality 4, probably only 6. The Rapid Heavy Ravager Cannon, 12 shots at AP2 at 18 inches. This one's not that bad of a choice. This is going to be anti-heavy infantry. The Heavy Barb Cannon, 2 shots at 36 inches, AP2 and blast of 6. Again, more heavy anti-infantry. This one's going to be on the squad level. If the enemy has like anything that is defensive 4 and comes in a squad of at least 10, unless it had at least 6 models in the squad, otherwise your blast is kind of going to be lost on that. But 2 shots, again quality 4, you're probably only going to hit once. And the Heavy Acid Cannon, 2 shots, AP2, deadly 6 with lock on. This is going to be your anti-vehicle stuff. 2 shots, deadly 6. It's going to be able to kill off a lot of the walkers and the light vehicles in 1 shot, but again, only 2 shots with quality 4. And you can replace one of the Heavy Razor Claws with a Killing Scream for a breath attack to give them what is essentially a reliable Blast 3 AP1 weapon. So in my opinion, this is going to be used as a close combat monster or the classic distraction Carnifex. It's big, it's scary, it has the ability to do some damage in close combat, throw regeneration onto it to just, stick around even longer with its defensive 2, throw regeneration on top of that. It's going to be able to tank fusion gun rounds to the face. This is like a solid mid-range choice for the army as far as monsters go. Our next unit is the Toxico Rex. For some reason, every time I see this name, I think of Tropico, and I want to go play a Colombian drug lord. 455 points, quality 4, defensive 2, fear 2, fearless shrouding mist, which gives it the ability to give 2 units stealth. It has stealth itself to start with, and toughness 12. Comes with an acid spurt, 12-inch range, 2 shots, blast 3 with poison. Stomp for 4 attacks, AP1, and Whip Limbs for 8 attacks, poison and reliable, and the only option is to give it recovery for regeneration. So it's got stealth. It can give stealth to other stuff. It has regeneration. This is going to be a tank of a monster. It's going to be able to hold down objectives on its own. With the Shrouding Mist, if it brings some friends, like some little assault grunts, it's going to be able to give them stealth as well, and you can give those assault grunts poison to be a little bit themey on that one. Offensive ability is a little bit lacking because it lacks the AP on a whole lot of stuff, but with poison, it's going to be able to rip regeneration off of the enemy. So if you're fighting something like the Infected Colonies that has zombies with regeneration or other units with their medical upgrades, this is a good choice. Then we come to the Psycho Rex. 450 points, quality 4, defensive 2, caster 3, fear 2, fearless stealth, and toughness 12. Comes with a heavy side blast, 2 shots at 18, AP1 with blast of 3, heavy razor claw, 6 attacks AP1, a stomp, 4 attacks AP1. It has caster 3, so it has the ability to throw spells out. You can give it regeneration, and you can also give it pheromones and psi barrier like it is a hero. This is a large close combat monster if you want to focus your whole army around psychic stuff. All of its weapons only having AP1. Again, it's a pretty big monster to have in close combat. It does have a blasting shooting weapon, but again, kind of lacking in the AP department, and this army does a whole lot of work in melee. So if you want to theme your army around psychic stuff, go for it. Then we come to the Invasion Carrier Spore, the drop pod of the Alien Hives. 160 points, quality 4, defensive 2, ambush, fearless, slow, toughness 6 with transport 11. And then it has 6 attacks with razor tendrils. You can give it regeneration, and you can upgrade it with one of these guns. The Shredder Gun Array for 4 shots with rending at 18. The Spitter Gun Array, 24 inches, 2 shots and blast 3. The Barb Cannon Array, 30 inches, 2 shots, blast 3 and AP2. And the Acid Launcher Array, 30 inches, AP2, 2 shots, deadly 3 with lock-on. So this is just going to be your APC of the army. With this, you're going to be able to put 11 models in it. You can put a unit of Soul Snatchers, double those up, be able to pop them right next to the enemy on turn 2. You could put in 10 shooters or 10 assault grunts, or you could even just put 3 Hive Warriors, 3 Hive Guardians, 3 Ravenous Beasts to pop in right next to the enemy. It's an APC. That's what it does. And then it has the option to give it a gun. We've already gone over the ways these different guns work. Yeah, it's just an APC. Now to our next Assault Spore from space. The Invasion Artillery Spore. 200 points, quality 4, defensive 2, ambush, entrenched, fearless, immobile, and toughness 6. So this thing is going to drop onto the board, but then it can't move from where it hits the ground. Or you could just deploy it as a turret. It comes with 6 attacks, AP1, and a spore gun, 24 inches, 1 shot, blast 6, indirect with exploding spores. You can give it regeneration. You can remove the spore gun and it can spawn spores or massive spores. And you can upgrade it with the same guns that you could the invasion carrier spore. So think of this like the APC invasion carrier spore, except it only carries spores. Or you could just use it for a piece of immobile firepower. It is a turret. It gets its spore gun and you can upgrade it with any of these. I've never seen one of these hit the board. It's an interesting concept, like for a fluffy game, like your Alien Hives are invading a planet. But as far as like competitive-wise, what I would bring to a tournament for an all-comers list, nah, I don't really see it. 200 points you could probably spend better elsewhere. Now to the big ones, the Titans. Starting off with the Burrower. 595 points, quality 4, defensive 2, fear of 3, fearless, surprise attack 3, which means it pops up right next to the enemy units, and it can hit them when it comes in. And toughness 18, so it is a chunky boy. Comes with 4 heavy razor claws, 3 attacks apiece with AP 1, and stomp for 6 attacks AP 2. You can replace the heavy razor claws with a piercing claw, slashing claw, smashing claw, serrated claw, or a whip limb, and you can give it bio recovery for regeneration. And again, what I see is you just pump it up on the serrated claws, give it regeneration. This is going to give you 12 attacks at AP 4 and 6 attacks at AP 2. Plus its surprise attack when it comes in. This thing is a close combat monster. But, as you can see up here in the corner, you can't take it that way in a 2,000 point list because it costs more than 35% of the points total. So it has to be under 700. Easy way to get past that. Take off the regeneration. Boom! Now you can take it in 2,000 points. For 635 points, it is pretty pricey, but you're going to get a lot of mileage out of this Burrower. Unless the enemy has kept some fusion guns hidden in the back. Even with its toughness 18, they got to hold on to a lot of fusion guns back there waiting for you to pop up. Oh, this list is so long. Spawning Beast. 615 points, quality 4, defensive 2, fear of 3, fearless, and toughness 18. Comes with a heavy razor claw, 6 attacks, AP 1, rapid stinger launcher for 18 attacks, 18 inches with rending, and stomp for 6 attacks, AP 2. You could upgrade with what it is spawning, where it can either be a hive swarm, assault grunts, or shooter grunts, and you can give it regeneration. Now all of these do the same thing in my mind, but they come stock, so this is just the different point values of the units, just a little bit more because they are going to be starting, pretty much what you could say is inside a toughness 18 APC. I usually see it with assault grunts to complement this unit's, close combat potential. And then that rapid stinger launcher, 18 attacks with the rending is nothing really to sneeze at. That's a whole lot of firepower. That's just a whole lot of numerical firepower coming out of one unit. If the enemy has low defense with regeneration, this is just going to rip right through them. But again, here we go. At 2,000 points, you can't take it with assault grunts. So let's see, can we do it with hive swarm? Yes, you can only do hive swarm. Or you could just leave it bare basic, just to use that 18-shot rapid stinger launcher. Now this is something that people are not going to run into. If you're running big units like this, you're going to be playing at like 3, 4, 5,000 points. But here where we're doing 2,000, it's a problem you run into. The next unit is the Tyrant Beast. 605 points, quality 4, defensive 2, fear 3, fearless, and toughness 18. 6 attacks with its heavy razor claws, 6 attacks with stomp at AP 2, and 18 attacks at 18 inches with AP 1 from its toxic spray. So instead of taking a spawning beast, you could take this if you just want to focus on the firepower. You can give it regeneration. You can replace the toxic spray with a biopod, which gives it a little bit more range. You lose the AP. Or a fracture cannon, 30 inches, 3 shots, AP 3, and deadly 6. This is going to be your anti-vehicle weapon of choice. And you can also give it half of a stinger launcher that we saw on the spawning beast to give it 6 shots at 18 with rending. And again, you run into the more than 700 point problem at 2,000. You still do that just with the fracture cannon. So at lower point games, you're just not going to see this guy because the rest of its weapons are kind of lackluster compared to that fracture cannon. But this guy in higher point games, this is going to be used to pop vehicles, especially being AP3, which is going to be a little bit more than the other anti-vehicle weapons we've seen. So for ranged tank killing, this is going to be a good unit. Our next unit is the Devourer Beast. 650 points, quality 4, defensive 2, fear 3, fearless, and toughness 18. Comes in 4 heavy razor claws, 3 attacks AP 1, stomp, 6 attacks AP 2, and a tongue. 3 attacks at 12 inches with AP2, Deadly 3, and Sniper, so it can pick out who it wants to give a loving French kiss to. You can replace the Heavy Razor Claws with Piercing, Slashing, Smashing, Serrated, or a Whip Limb, and you can give it Regeneration. So we're playing awful close to the line here at 650 points. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, and it just barely comes under the 700 point limit for 2,000 points. This gives it 12 attacks at AP4, plus it gives it a plus with that tongue attack. While the tongue attack is cool and it is very memeable, saying that you just want to hand out some love to your enemy, just the way one-page rules Grimdark Future is structured, this guy is going to want to always be charging into close combat, so you're not really going to get much use out of that tongue. Not unless you use the advanced rules with the assault activation. So it is a big brick of toughness, toughness 18, and fear of 3, it's going to usually win whatever combat it's in. But in this situation, this would be where I would usually use a Carnivorex or one of the other large beasts instead of the Devourer Beast, just because mechanical wise, unless you're using the advanced rules, that tongue is just never going to come into play. Because who in their right mind is going to charge into this thing? Yeah, unless they absolutely have some beat stick unit that they think, oh yeah, I could take out 18 toughness with defensive 2, no problem. It's not gonna come up. Then we have our Artillery Beast, 780 points, quality 4, defensive 2, fear of 3, fearless, toughness 18. 6 attacks with Heavy Razor Claws at AP1, 6 attacks at AP2 with Stomp, and a Shredder Bio Artillery, 36-inch range, 3 shots, blast 6, rending, and indirect. This thing is an artillery monster, hence the name Artillery Beast. You can give it regeneration. You can replace the Bio Artillery with a 6-shot AP1 Blast 3 Indirect, or a Acid Bio Artillery for 36 inches, 3 shots, AP3 Deadly 6 Indirect, or Plasma Bio Artillery, 3 shots, Blast 6, AP4 with Indirect. So we're already over the 700 point limit, so this is going to be in the larger point games, and all of these weapons are going to be what level of hurt do you want to lay down on the field. The base one has just Rending and Blast 6, but then here we go, we got Deadly 6, 3 shots at AP3, so this is going to be to kill off vehicles. Then we have Blast 6, AP4 Indirect. This is going to kill everything. Well, I mean, vehicles are only going to get hit once with the Blast 6 because they're single entities, but if you're firing into an enemy unit, this is going to, you know, just imagine a whiteboard and take an eraser to it, just that unit is off the field. And at that point, we're nearly hitting 1,000 points, but in a really large game, it could be worth it. Imagine the enemy brought in a combined squad of destroyers. They hit the ground, there'll be 6 of them. This thing firing at them, 3 shots, blast of 6. Let's say it got lucky and hit all 3 of its shots. That whole squad of destroyers is going to disappear really quickly. We come to the Hive Titan, 910 points, quality 3, defensive 2, fear 4, regeneration, and toughness 24. Has a Titanic Jaw with 3 attacks, AP4 with Deadly 6, and a Titanic Stomp, 12 attacks at AP2. You can give it Toxic Breath for 12 shots at 12 inches with poison, or Explosive Spit, 2 attacks at 36 inches, blast 6 and AP2. You could upgrade it with Corrosive, where whenever it takes a wound, the enemy takes a hit. Transport 21, so you could drop out like a combined squad of little Gribblies, or up to 2 squads of other stuff. Or you can give it wings to make it flying. Ooh, this thing is a beast. That's about all I have to say, is this thing is a beast. I wouldn't worry about putting any shooting upgrades on it, because this thing, if it's not moving towards the enemy as fast as it possibly can, it's wasting its time. This thing will take Titan Lords, rip them in half. Yeah, this is going to be for really, really big point games. Go for it. That's all I can really say. And our last unit, finally we're at the end. The Rapacious Beast. Rapacious Beast. Oh, man, I'm a dumb redneck. You all know that. 205 points, quality 4, defensive 2, aircraft, fearless, and toughness 6. Comes with a caustic cannon, 2 shots at 12 inches, blast 3, and reliable. And a Stinger Spitter, 3 shots at 18 with rending. You can upgrade it with regeneration. You can replace that caustic cannon with a twin barb gun, 2 shots at 30, blast 3 and AP2. A twin acid launcher, 2 attacks at 30, AP3, deadly 3, and lock on. You can replace the Stinger Spitter with a spore bomb, 6 inches, 1 attack, blast 6 with exploding spores. A missile bug, 2 shots at 36, AP3 with lock on. or it could spawn spores or massive spores. So the aircraft, I usually don't even consider them when I'm building an army, just because they're kind of strange to me the way they work. Because at most you're going to be able to get 3 turns out of them, but if I had to, I would replace the caustic cannon with the twin barb gun if I'm fighting against heavier stuff, or the twin acid launcher if I really want to go after vehicles. Even then there's better options in the army. And then replace the stinger spitter with the spore bomb, even though, yeah, it does have a 6-inch range, but if you aim this guy right, you're going to be able to move on top of whatever you want. Just dropping those in amongst the enemy units, it's a great thing. That'd be great for it. Yeah, that's about all I got on that. So that brings us to the end of the list. Finally, now I can talk about the army as a whole. So I think the Alien Hives, most people are saying that they are kind of overpowered, but what I want to say is they're not really overpowered, but they can just do whatever they want. So I've made a couple of lists here. Let's look at the Monster Mash. This one you're going to have, for 2,000 points, you got 3 Hive Lords just to run forward with 12 attacks at AP 4, and then a Burrower to pop up with, again, 12 attacks at AP 4 with all the stomps going through. You only have 4 units on the board, but we got some regeneration. They're all defensive too, quality 3s and 4s. They're just going to kill whatever they touch. The next list I have here is the Swarm. In this army, we have 9 units in it. Let's see, we got 20 grunts, 20 grunts, 20 grunts, 20 grunts, 20 grunts, 20 grunts, 10 grunts, 10 grunts, 10 grunts. This is going to be able to just cover the board in bodies if you really wanted to. They all have the no retreat rule. So this kind of works on the same concept that the zombie army does. It don't matter if you kill them, you're going to have to kill every single model in this army, and then they're just going to go stand on objectives. Then there's all the activations. This army has 10 units, so it's got 10 activations to start off with, again with a Hive Lord anchoring the whole thing. Then we got a whole bunch of different units, and then we have 4 different units here. They're going to be able to spawn stuff. That just means they're going to out-activate the enemy. We got the Flying Circus. Everything has wings. 2 Hive Lords with wings, 3 units of winged grunts, and then Rapacious Beasts that are the flyers that are just going to be flying around the board. So everything can ambush except for the Rapacious Beasts. So it's a flyer, so it's plus 12 inches to shoot at it, right? Unless that changed. Yeah, minus 12-inch range or minus 1 to hit. So you got your 2 Hive Lords to be your sledgehammers and the winged grunts to run around the outside and just be a pain that the enemy has to take out. With the no retreat, you have to kill all of them. You got to dedicate more to them than you think you do. What else do I got? I kind of went crazy with this. I was bored one day. We have the Ambushers, Prime Warrior, and the Hive Warriors with wings and ambushes. Hive Swarms that can ambush. 3 units of Ravenous Beasts that ambush, and a Burrower. So this whole army, this is a null deploy army. You just let the enemy do what they want to do on turn 1, and then on turn 2, everything shows up and just myrtleizes everything. With the Burrower being your big beatstick unit here, and then your Hive Warriors all having AP 4 on their weapons. I mean, we got poison on the Hive Swarms. Ravenous Beasts also with AP 4. So this is a lot of your armor does not matter. And then if you just want to have everything on the board, it'd be really, really fast. This army, I think everything scouts here. We got Snatcher Lord and Snatchers, Ravenous Beasts with Scout, Ravenous Beasts. So yeah, this whole army starts on the middle of the board. Congratulations, turn 1, you're in close combat. Everything is fast with Scout. So that, yeah, the Alien Hives, I think their big strength is that they can do whatever they want to do. So let's see what we have today. We got a Hive Lord with wings, all loaded up with serrated blades. So he's going to be a beat stick, 12 attacks at AP 4, 4 attacks at AP 1. He's just going to be walking around trying to give people hugs. We got 2 units of Assault Grunts with poison and adrenaline with no retreat. So pretty much their undead poison stuff. They're going to be able to run forward and just drown the enemy in attacks. And with poison, get rid of any regeneration. Then we have a unit of Soul Snatchers, just because I thought the models looked really cool. Yeah, there's no upgrades on these. They're just heavy claws all the way. Then we have 2 units of Hive Swarms, one of them with ambush, one without, just because, you know, points got a little wonky. But these guys are going to be sitting on home objectives to move on to objectives close to the deployment zone. And then this one is going to be able to pop up behind the enemy. 3 Ravenous Beasts, again, all loaded up with serrated blades. and they have rapid strike, so they have the scout as well. Then we got the shadow leapers. They have a split between razor whips and serrated blades, because the serrated blades, you know, that's the damage dealing, and the razor whips, I just thought it looked really cool. So that's why they have them. No other reason. I mean, it's the same points cost. If I really wanted to push it, it would just be the serrated blades all the way, but those whips look so cool. And then a Carnival Rex, loaded up with serrated claws. This is my distraction Carnifex. Just run forward, attack stuff, be big, be scary, be toughness 12. So yeah, that's the list that I'm going to be bringing today. And I ended up painting these up in a pretty cool Grimdark style. If you've been watching the community section on the channel, you saw the paint job I had on these before I did the whole wipe down technique, and I think they came out pretty cool afterwards. So I think this is going to be pushing an hour for this section. So if you're still with me, thanks for watching. Hey, remember to like and subscribe. Well, remember that I actually run a YouTube channel. Hey, hit the button, ring the bell, call me idiot in the comments. All right, that's enough. We're heading out to the garage. So here is the Alien Hives. We got our Hive Lord, the Carnival Rex, Shadow Leapers, Ravagers, the Stealers, 2 units of Hive Swarms, and then 2 units of Assault Grunts. This army's got a whole bunch of dynamic deployment in it, so we're going to have Ambush, Ambush, Scouting, Scouting. One of these 2 is going to ambush whichever one I leave off the board, and then these guys are going to be deployed on the line. I've already talked about these in the last section, so let's go ahead and move on to the next. And here's the Infected Colonies army. We've got our 2 combat walkers, our 2 squads of boomers, the big squad of runners with the tyrant, small squad of runners, and then 2 squads of 10 infected with fusion guns with 2 infected leaders in there that are both casters. So this is how we made the board for today. First we took the objectives, put them in their starting position, and then rolled 2d6 and a scatter die to move them somewhere different just to change things up. This way it's not just a big old clash right in no man's land. There's going to be more dynamic movement in this game today. Then we took our 6 pieces of terrain using the random terrain rules, rolled again 2d6 and a scatter die, and this is where they ended up, leaving us with some big old open patches. So we took our cactus scatter terrain and we just kind of set that in the middle like this. So this is the board for today. So deployment for the Alien Hives, these are going to be our ambushers over here. We got the Hive Lord, the Shadow Hunters, and then the Hive Swarms. Then over to the table, we've got our Snatchers that have already scouted up, Hive Swarms, Assault Grunts, Ravaging Beasts, Carnival Rex, and then Assault Grunts over here on the corner. And for the Infected Colonies, we got Boomers, Combat Walker, 20 Runners with the Tyrant, another Combat Walker, unit of Runners, a unit of Infected using them as a blade of armor, a unit of Boomers, and a unit of Infected over here in the building. And the reason why everybody is so spread out, we're going to run the 3 objective card mission again. That way, no one actually knows what the objectives we are looking to achieve yet. So let's figure that out. So we got our cards ready. We're going to draw 3 to see what the objectives are. On turn number 1, we've got Hold 2, Arcane Channeling, and Seize 4. And we're going to see who goes first. The white is going to be Infected Colonies. Black is going to be the Alien Hives. We got a 4 and a 2. Looks like the Infected Colonies are going to go first. Since the Infected Colonies get the first turn, our Combat Walker is going to go 6-inch move to here. And then he's going to try to fire at these Ravenous Beasts, knock down some of their numbers. One shot on the 4. Yep, we're starting off like that again. The Ravagers over here, they are going to take off into, oh, they're in charge, into this squad of runners right here. Like that. So the Ravenous Beasts have 12 attacks, sitting on a 4. 6 hits, saving on a 6. They're going to fail all of them. So that leaves the runners with only 4 of them left. 8 attacks back, hitting on a 5. We got 2 hits, and the beast save on a 4. Ooh, they take 2 wounds. That puts this guy here down to 1, but they definitely won the combat, so those runners need to take a morale test. Pass morale on 5, which they fail, so time for the undead roll. 4 left. Oh, they're all going to go away. Well, I mean, that's one way to do it. So that's the whole squad killed. Not wanting to give up the opportunity, that squad of infected right there, and their leader is just going to blast into and psychic power the Ravagers. Our infected leader with his Mad Scientist Caster 2 skill is going to attempt to cast Panic Virus. It's a strength of 2. He's got 2 tokens. He's a 4. And fails. It didn't matter how many points he put into it. So for shooting, let's go ahead and start with the 2 fusion rifles. We got 1 hit. Saving on a 6. That's a fail. And the 8 carbines on a 5. 5 hits, saving on a 4. Oh, they're going to take another 4. Coupled with the 1 fusion gun, that's going to be the whole squad. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, and the fusion rifle. The Carnival Rex is going to do a 12-inch move to there. These boomers, they're going to go 12 to there. The second combat walker, going to go 6 to there. And then he is going to fire down at the Carnival Rex right there. 1 shot on a 4. Oh my goodness, it actually hits. Saving on a 6. Oh, hey, can't argue with that. The squad of Soul Snatchers is eyeballing that squad of Boomers. They're going to charge. So we got 20 attacks, rending with AP1, hitting on a 3. So we got a 3 rending on a 6. They're going to fail all 3 of those. And the rest on a 5. So 6 more, meaning they're going to kill off 3 of them. So that takes out 3, which means they are going to do their exploding, and then the 3 that are left are going to attack back. So we got the explosions. They are going to save on 4. Ooh, that's going to lose 6 right there. 4 attacks apiece, so 12 attacks, hitting on a 4 with poison. 6 hits. They're going to lose 2 more, which means they're down to 2 Soul Snatchers left. So that didn't work out too great. We're just down to 2 of these left. But they did win combat by 1, so the Boomers have to take morale test. So morale test on a 4, they're going to pass. So the Murderous Tyrant and his crew is going to move up to get on to objective number 2, going around the combat walker. Like that. The Hive Swarm over here on objective 4 is doing their job, so they're just going to hold. The infected in this building are going to go ahead and launch everything they have against those 2 Soul Snatchers over there. The leader's going to use Biohorror and put both points into it, just trying to get the power off. And he fails still. He needed a 3. Then our 2 fusion guns. 1 hit. That's going to kill one of the Snatchers. And then their carbines on a 5. 5 hits, saving on a 4. That's going to be it. So... Beep, beep. These assault grunts down here, they're going to move as fast as they can that way. Actually, I just found out they are in charge range. They're going to charge. So we got 20 attacks hitting out of 5, and these guys do have poison, so that means they're going to take away the regeneration. So hitting on a 5. 9 hits out of 20. It seems the dice are really hot today. It's saving on a 5 for the runners. So they're going to lose 6 with no regeneration. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then they are going to pile in and continue. They're going to pile in and attack back. 14 runners, so 28 attacks on a 5. 10 hits, saving on a 5. They're going to lose 6 of the assault grunts. They're the Monstrous Tyrant with his fists and stomp. 1 fist and 2 stomps hit, saving on a 6. So there's going to be 2 grunts left. 2 grunts left. Morale test for those. They're going to fail. But they have the no retreat rule, which is just like the undead rule. They're going to lose 1, leaving us with 1 little guy kind of surrounded. The Boomers are going to take off running towards objective number 6 and get to there. As activation of the turn, these assault grunts are going to move in that direction, and they're going to end up right there, contesting number 1. All right, turn 1 did not go very well for the Alien Hives. Their assault guys kind of all went in and exploded, but let's check objectives. Seize 4, the Alien Hives do score 1 point for that. Arcane Channeling, the infected colonies are trying, but they weren't able to get anything off. And Hold 2, it looks like a big old traffic jam on there right now. So a new objective for this turn is going to be cut them down. And then the infected colonies is going to go ahead and get rid of Hold 2. just because it looks like it's going to be a cluster, and pick up Executioner. At the beginning of turn 2, we have our ambushers. We got our Shadow Hunters here behind those boomers. The Hive Lord came in behind both of the combat walkers, and then the Hive Swarm showed up to deal with some guys over there. What I can only assume is a bunch of swearing. This combat walker is going to move to there and fire at the Hive Lord. Shot on a 4. Oh, it hits. Hive Lord's going to save on a 2. A 6. It fails. So the Hive Lord, I didn't give the Hive Lord regeneration, so it's just going to take 6 wounds. So the Hive Lord's already down to half of its number of wounds. Oh, I forgot. It needs to take a morale test. And it's going to fail. Really? But it is fearless. And it's still going to fail. The Hive Lord's pinned. Wow. So, yeah. He's pinned. I did not see that coming. So in that case, the Carnival Rex is going to have to charge over here into that combat walker. We're going to start with the stomps, hitting on a 4. We got 2 hits, saving on a 3. Saved them both. And then 9 attacks with the claws on a 4. 4 hits, saving on a 6. So it takes 4 wounds. So it is going to be down to 2 toughness remaining and going to fight back. So it only has 2 attacks with Stomp on a 4. 1 hit. AP 1, saving on a 3. It passes. So, morale test time for the Combat Walker, which it fails. But it is undead, and it's alive with 1 wound left. So just because it's not going to get an opportunity again, it is going to move backwards a bit and then fire at the Hive Lord. 1 shot on a 4. Oh, of all the times for the fusion guns to finally show up, saving on a 6. Hey, the Hive Lord saves. Shadow Leap is going to charge into those boomers. Like that. All right, with the serrated blades on a 4. We got 4 hits, saving on a 6. That's going to be 4 wounds go through. Then the Razor Whips hitting on a 2. They're all going to hit, saving on a 4 with poison. Ooh, we get to reroll 1, 6. It goes through. So 2 more wounds. So they kill 2, which is going to explode with the boom rule and then attack back. So we're going to do the explosions first. 6 saves on a 4. They're going to take 2. 16 attacks hitting on a 4. 7 hits saving on a 4 with poison. So just got to reroll that one, which we do. So 1, 2, 3, 4 more. So that means that was 6 wounds. Both of them did 6 wounds. No one has any fear, so the combat is tied. So those 6 wounds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then backing up an inch. The Tyrant and his unit are just going to jump on that last Assault Grunt, and we're just going to do that and move them around like that, so they're completely covering the objective. Just at their extreme range, these little boogers are going to try to take that final wound off of this guy because they don't want that heavy fusion gun sticking around. So we got 9 attacks hitting on a 6. Got 2 hits, saving on a 2 with poison. It passes. They can stomp back. 1 hit, saving on a 6. They take 1 wound. Morale test on a 6 with fearless. Yeah, they're going to pass. These guys don't have a target, but they're going to try to cast a Psychic Power just for the objective card. Just to get the power off, he's going to try to cast Infestation on his own squad and the squad of boomers out on objective number 6. And it goes off. So now they do have poison in close combat. This squad of High Swarm over here, they're going to move to this point. So if objective number 3 comes up in a card, they could run over to it. These boomers are going to attack here. Make this squad fatigued. So it's going to be 16 attacks hitting on a 6. Because I missed the bucket with 1 of them. There we go, 3 hits. Then they're saving on 5 with poison. So 1 goes down. 9 of them attacking back. 18 attacks hitting on a 5. 9 hits saving on a 4. They're just going to lose 2 wounds. But that does mean the boomers lose combat. But they're going to pass their morale. So pretty anticlimactic there, but this squad of assault grunts are fatigued now. This Hive Lord over here, he's going to go ahead and recover and become unpinned. This squad of boomers just going to, mosey on to number 6. these assault grunts are going to move to there to contest number 2 next turn, maybe. The final activation of turn 2, these infected are going to move to there, and then they are going to take some pot shots at Mr. Hive Lord right there. So we're going to start off with the caster. He is outside of 12, so the only thing he has offensively that's going to do any damage is Plague. But that's kind of dumb because it'll only take 1 hit because that is a Blast 9 power. So he's going to save his Psychic tokens. Everything else is in range though. Let's start with 2 fusion guns on a 5. 1 hit. Saving on a 6. He's going to take 3 wounds. And then all the carbines on a 5. We got 6 hits, saving on a 2. He's going to take 2 more, taking the Hive Lord down to 1 wound remaining. Morale test time again. He's going to pass. So let's look at objectives. Arcane Channeling. Yes, the infected colonies were able to pull off 1 spell. Cut them down. The infected colonies, again, were able to kill a unit, taking out that 1 lone assault grunt on objective number 2. Executioner, no one's been able to pull that one off yet. So let's look at our new objectives. We have Terrify and Hold number 5. So at the beginning of turn 3, the Hive Lord is just in range to charge at the stuff here. And he's got a decision to make. Charge here to take out the 1-shot fusion gun, or here to try to take out the squad. And what he's going to do is go into that squad. So overall, the Hive Lord has 16 attacks. Armor penetration doesn't matter because the infected's armor is crap. It's going to go right through no matter what it is. Hitting on a 3. 9 hits, saving on a 6. That's going to be 9 dead dudes. They killed so many of them, they're not going to be able to fight back because it's just too far. So it's going to be morale test for these 2. Morale test on a 5. They're going to pass. He only has 1 wound left, and so because they want to be heroes, this squad is going to attack here. Our leader has 4 psychic points. At this point, he's going to cast Biohorror, trying to hit it with AP 2 Deadly 3, and he's going to put everything he has into it. 4 points on a 1, looking for a 2 to cast. It goes off. So the Hive Lord needs a 4 to save, and fails. So that's going to be it for the big guy. He might just be the unluckiest Hive Lord I have ever come across. Next thing we're going to have is the Carnival Rex charging into this squad here. 13 attacks, and again, AP doesn't really matter because the runner's armor is crap, hitting on a 4. Ooh. So it's 5 hits, 5 failed armor saves, and they have regeneration. They're still going to lose 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stand up, buddy. Only 7 runners are close enough to attack, so it's going to be 14 attacks out of 5. 2 hits, saving on a 2. Takes them both, or saves them both. And the monstrous tyrants, Claws and Stomp. Claws are AP 3, they're in the white. Stomp is black, AP 1. Hitting on a 3. I was wrong, the fist is AP 4. I think I said AP 3. He's going to save 3 of those, only taking 1. And the Stomp saves on a 2. Or 3, I mean. It passes. So the Carnival Rex is chilling with 10 wounds left. He definitely won combat. The runners and the Tyrant need to take a morale test. With the Tyrant leading the squad, they pass on a 3. And, ooh, they fail. So 15 undead rolls. Ooh. So it failed 7. The Boomers over here looking to help out on that side. They are just going to charge into these Assault Grunts here. So 4 of them, 4 attacks apiece, hitting on a 4. 4s. 6 hits, saving on a 5. And with the poison, they have to reroll that 1-6. It got another 6. So that'll be 5 dead. That will reduce them down to that, and they're not going to fight back. They're going to choose not to fight back, so they need to take a morale test. Morale on a 5. Oh, they're going to fail. 5 left, using the no retreat / undead rule. There's going to be 1 left. There he is, all alone. Shadow Leaper here is going to charge into the rear of this guy, trying to take that last wound off. So the serrated blades are black, the whips are white. Okay, we got 1 miss with a serrated blade. Serrated blade saves out of 6. And the other 2 don't matter, because that's going to be the end of that combat walker. Bang! Our second walker is going to move to here and fire at the Carnival Rex. 1 shot, everybody knows rules.
Hey, it hits. Saved on a 6. And it fails. So that takes the Carnival Rex down to below half. He's going to pass his morale test. Taking the big guy down to 4. While we're over here, the little assault grunt is just going to weep and contest that objective. These boomers over here are going to run from 6 over to 4. The hive swarm doesn't want none of that, so they're going to run from 4 to 3. These guys in the tower are going to hold because they're already holding 5. Well, the 5 is still owned by them, so they have no reason to move, so they're just going to hold. And the last unit to move is these hive guard. They're just going to go to here. Or the hive swarm, they're going to go to here. And they haven't activated yet, so the monstrous tyrant and his 2 dudes are just going to charge into that assault grunt. Tyrant attacking. Ooh, he's got 1 hit with a claw. Saving on a 6. No, that's going to be the end of that grunt. So that is going to boom, take it. Let's look at some objectives. Terrify. Yeah, the alien hive were able to score 1 point because some of the infected colonies failed their morale tests. Executioner. The infected colonies were able to kill a hero. They killed that hive lord, which, again, I have to say is the unluckiest hive lord I think I've ever seen. And hold 5, because it was in control of the infected colonies at the beginning, they still have control of it because nothing has gone there. So overall, infected colonies get 3, alien hives get 1. So new objectives we have on the march, seize 5, and volley fire. Opening move of the last turn, the Carnival Rex is going to slam right there. So we have the serrated claws hitting on a 4. 4 hits at AP 4, saving on a 6. That's 4 wounds. 4 stomps hitting on a 4. 3 hits, saving on a 3. Passes all those. The walker's going to attack back 2 hits. The walker's going to attack back 2 stomps on a 4. 1 hit, saving on a 3. Oh, the Carnival Rex takes a wound. But the combat walker took 4 wounds, means it loses combat. Fails its morale test. It only has 2 wounds left, but it's going to pass those. So Mr. Rex gets to back up an inch and down to 2. And just because he's going to turn and fire his heavy fusion cannon. 1 shot on a 4, and it misses. The Shadow Leaper is going to leap right there. Everything on a 4, the serrated blades are white. So we got 1 serrated blade whiff. Serrated blade on a 6. Fails. Everything else on a 2. Oh, but it is poisoned. And it's going to be enough. Boom. The tyrant and his boys are going to charge into the back end of the Carnival Rex. The tyrant with his claw and stomps. Stomps are going to be black on a 3. Stomp saving on a 3. And the claw saving on a 6. That's going to be the end of the Carnival Rex. Good lord. The hive swarms. We are going to get in there. 9 attacks on a 6. Nothing. So the infected are going to attack back. Nothing. That's going to be the end of the turn because everything else is just the infected colonies and nothing is going to be in range to assault or even shoot. So let's look at some objectives. Volley fire. Nope, nothing was able to be killed with a shooting attack. Seize 5. The infected colonies still control objective number 5. And on the march, the infected colonies have a few units left in their deployment zone, but the alien hives don't, so they get 1 point there. So with a final score of 3-6, the infected colonies win the game. Now some people say alien hives are overpowered, they're too strong, but apparently not when I play them. So with that in mind, I'm going to institute a new rule on the channel. Once an army wins 3 missions in a row, they're going to go ahead and go into their own special bracket. So that means this is the infected colony's 3rd win. The alien hives are going to continue on to our next game, which what we have coming up is we have the Havoc Warriors coming up in the next game against the Giants. And then after that, we are going to have the alien hives versus the Robot Legion. So make sure that you come back in a few weeks for those games. So that's all I got in the garage out for you today. I hope you're out there playing a whole bunch of OPR, having tons of fun with it. and I hope to see you across the table someday. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.